Earlier today, I said President Trump's appointment of 58 conservative judges was yet another win, even though you've not heard much about it. Come on in, Andy Puzder, policy advisor for America First Policies. He joins us now. Andy, we haven't heard anything about this. I would have expected the left to scream blue murder about 58 judges appointed already. President Obama, in his first 9 months, only appointed 20. I see this as a big win for the president, right?
Well, it's a huge win for the president, and the estimates are that by the end of his first term, he could appoint 30% of the federal judiciary, even if he doesn't add a couple hundred additional judges, as the Federalist Society is suggesting. So this is huge. It's huge for the American people. It's huge for the concept of individual liberty supported by limited government.
Hold on a second. Now, the Federalist Society has submitted a plan which would expand the number of federal judges by a minimum of 260. That would increase the federal judiciary by 1/3. You're saying that forget that plan for a moment. Even without it, President Trump, by the end of his first term, would have appointed 1/3 of the federal judiciary. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. Those are the current predictions, and if he adds those judges, it'll get a lot closer to 50%. So this is huge. It's really a huge accomplishment by the Trump administration.
Where's the left? I would have thought there would be screams up and down the halls of power in Congress. I've heard nothing about it from them.
Well, if you look at The Guardian had an article on this that claimed that the real that Trump's real purpose was to take apart this progressive infrastructure they built over I don't know, since the beginning of the century with Teddy Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson. That's probably true. And the Huffington Post just had an article saying that until Mueller's investigation is over on Russia, that they should stop allowing any judicial confirmation. So they're very nervous. They're in a panic. You're just not hearing a lot about it.
Next one for you. Now, the president is urging voters to back Roy Moore. He's urging voters to back the Republican candidate. That's what he's saying, despite the charges of harassment against Judge Roy Moore. I think the president is just playing politics here. It's a political point of view. Let's roll tape so everyone can hear what he's been saying. Roll it, please.
I can tell you one thing for sure. We don't need a liberal person in there, a Democrat. Jones, I've looked at his record. Let me just tell you, Roy Moore denies it. That's all I can say. He denies it. And by the way, he totally denies it.
It's pure politics. He wants 52 Republican senators, case geschlossen, right?
Well, look, you've got here's the problem. Even with 52 Republicans, 53 if you count the vice president's vote, but even with 52 Republican senators, he's still having a very difficult time getting things through, like Obamacare repeal and replace or tax reform. We want to keep having these judicial appointments come, and with 51 Republicans, that would also be more difficult. And his other point, though, is that, look, you really, and I don't know Judge Moore, and I think Ivanka Trump's comment that there's a special place in hell for people that prey on children, I think that's legitimate. But there's also another point to this, and the president raised it, which is you really shouldn't bury people's reputations or deny them positions based on allegations. This happened to me in the confirmation process for Secretary of Labor, where my former wife had made allegations of abuse in our divorce. She later denied them. I always denied them. Nonetheless, the press hammered on that, and it was very detrimental to my effort. So with respect to these allegations, you really should have more than just an allegation, because if people can lose positions and lose appointments, if we're going to reverse what the voters of Alabama, the Republican voters, already decided to do, every position that somebody's up for, you're going to have people coming out and making allegations. If they're not proved, if there isn't substance to them, then we really should ignore them and just move on. And I think Judge Moore, I don't know what he's done. I don't know whether they're true or not, but I know there's evidence both ways, and I think that's what the president was trying to say.
Okay. I've got one more for you, Andrew.
Sure.
Once again, the president is blasting the anthem protest. He's got this tweet. Here it is. The NFL is now thinking about a new idea, keeping teams in the locker room during the national anthem next season. That's almost as bad as kneeling. When will the highly paid commissioner finally get tough and smart? This issue is killing your league. Your response, Andy Puzder.
I think a lot of fans wouldn't care if they stayed in the locker room for the whole game.
Yeah, right.
Look, you can't. What kind of CEO, what kind of business leader allows the employees of the organization to alienate their customers? You can't. No other business would this happen. You can't let your employees drive away your customer base. You know, the left was going after the NFL about how violent the sport was, about how people were getting concussions before the protests started. Now the left has changed its position, is more supportive. But you notice that when the left was making complaints about the NFL, the viewership wasn't down, the stadiums were still full. Now that you've alienated your customer base, patriotic Americans, you're seeing stadiums with empty seats, you're seeing revenue go away, you're seeing advertisers complain. This is a big problem, and I think there's just incompetent leadership in the NFL. The president's right. Somebody needs to go in and take control of this and get the sport back on track.
Oh, well said, Andy Puzder. You're right. You are right, young man. And I hope you have a great Thanksgiving, okay?
You too, Stuart. I hope you had fun at your farm. Thanks.
Oh, I will, guaranteed.